impact. Let's talk about it with Kate Obenshain, a former chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia and the author of Divider-in-Chief. Margie Omero is a Democratic pollster and president of Momentum Analysis. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you, John.
Margie, let me read you a headline according to one of the political websites. It said, Democrats are best positioned if we go over the cliff. Do you agree?
Well, I think the American people lose and the middle class loses if we go over the fiscal cliff, and we're talking about on average $2,000 tax increase for most Americans. But polls show that voters overwhelmingly feel that Republicans will be to blame if we go over the fiscal cliff. And over time, we've seen President Obama's ratings on how he's handling the crisis actually improving, while Republicans, their views toward how they're handling it are worsening. So by and large, consistently, whether it's how people view how the parties are acting and whether or not they want people to collaborate and work together, which they do, the party that's seen as really able to come to the table and negotiate is going to benefit, and the party that's being obstinate is going to suffer.
Kate, whether you agree with the analysis of the American people or not, the Gallup polling does show that President Obama is in the mid-50s when it comes to his polling ratings on how he's handling the fiscal cliff. Republicans in Congress are in the mid-20s.
Right.
How do you explain?
Right. There's no question. There's no question about that, John, that Obama has done a much better job of positioning himself to take advantage of going off the fiscal cliff. He has painted Republicans for months now as opposed to the middle class, only caring about their millionaire and billionaire friends, saying that they've taken hostage the working people of America. You had Steny Hoyer saying that Republicans are like people who want to take their children hostage and threatening to shoot them. This sort of vilifying of Republicans has been incredibly effective. I think in the short term, absolutely, the president is positioned to take advantage of this. He gets what he wants: tax increases, massive cuts to the military, and more revenue to expand the size of government. In the long run, though, Republicans really stand to win, because, and as appalling as that, the notion is that we're even talking about who wins, but the Republicans win because the economy is going to go off yet another cliff, and that it's going to be the president's economy. We can't keep blaming this on George Bush. He is the president. He is the one who is not putting forth any more proposals to work with Republicans, and he's going to have to take ownership of this. If Republicans can come together and come up with a cohesive message about real economic growth, shrinking the size of government, they don't have a message yet, and that's going to be the big question mark as to who wins in the long run.
Margie, if we go over the cliff, I mean, everybody's paycheck just about come, January 1 is going to be shrunken because government is going to be taking a much bigger chunk of it. That's going to infuriate people. Aren't they going to be blaming President Obama?
Well, they're not going to be blaming President Obama because polls show that they're blaming Republicans, and they see Republicans as really not willing to come to the table. And this isn't about taking advantage of some sort of recent development. We had an election, and we had an election where voters very clearly supported the President Obama's handling of the economy.
He got 50.96% of the popular vote.
He got over 300 electoral votes. Romney only had one battleground state. I mean, it was a pretty clear, the Senate, there were tons of Senate victories. There was a gain in the House, and there were gains down ballot. So it really very clearly voters spoke that they agree with the president's handling of the economy, and they also agree with the proposals that the president has put forward. He has put forward a plan that had 2-to-1 spending cuts to revenue increases, and Republicans, they tried to pass a plan of their own that would change the bracket of what they considered wealthy to make it higher, who they thought were the wealthiest, and it failed because Republicans didn't want to tax anybody who was making over $1 million a year. Bill Kristol has criticized that. Those aren't my words. Those aren't just the American people's words. Republicans have criticized that now Republicans are really standing in the way of a real deal in order to defend the very, very top.
All right,
you know what? Republicans have a mandate as well. They were elected to a majority in the House of Representatives, and their mandate is to maintain a grip on the size of government. And instead of letting the president and the Democrats ram us towards Greece and bankruptcy and insolvency. And so they have a mandate. If they go along with raising taxes on the job creators in America, they can plan to be wiped out in the midterm elections. They know that. They know what their mandate is. And we can keep looking at these polls at 50% of the president's approval rating right now, but these polls are not going to remain stagnant. The economy is going to suffer dramatically dramatically. We are going to have higher unemployment. We're going to have higher national debt. That is going to have an impact on the American people, and it's the Republicans who need to be in that position of holding the line, looking out for the middle class and the working, hardworking Americans and the job creators. And if they're able to do that, then hopefully there will be this reevaluation and an embrace of stimulating the private sector and the free market and taking a dramatically different tactic rather than Obama's massive expansion of the federal government as the only means to stimulating the economy.
Kate Obenshain from the Republican side, Margie Omero from the Democratic side. 4 days left. We'll see what happens.
Cross fingers.
Thank you both.
Thank you.